No. I think I've done my remake. I love you like a dysfunctional family. You can't ask somebody to be Wednesday. She's got to kind of just be it. Jenna has that. Darkness and shadows and things. It's just more graphic in a way that somehow matched sort of the interior of my mind. Yeah, you'd be in the creature, you'd be like this cool, like kind of friendly doctor. You could be a complete asshole. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, everybody.
Right?
Ah.
Tim, welcome to GM Video.
Very nice to be here. It's so wonderful to be in a DVD store. It's been a long time since I've been. I can spend hours in here.
Well, you know, it's one of the 2 last video stores in Paris, actually.
Wow.
And just before we start to talk about film you have chosen, I'd like to ask you, what is your relationship with those kind of places? And with, more globally, your relationship with the physical edition of films, such as DVDs and Blu-rays?
Well, I mean, I used to go to VHS stores, you know, I'm that old, so I used to go to those kind of things and spend hours in like Blockbuster and all those kind of places. So for me, I love it because, I mean, I think this problem with like streaming is that you see something you like and then it goes away. And there's something that's really, you know, if you love a film or you love films, there's something, you know, tactile about just having it and having part of your collection. And so for me, you know, it spurs your imagination, your memory about certain things. It gets you into, yeah. So you kind of go down different paths and journeys when you come into a place like this, which is, you know, you can spend hours or days in here.
Yeah. Well, I think we can start. I'd like to start with the Asian section, because I know you grew up watching a lot of Japanese movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Burbank, which is kind of far from Japan, but it was a time when they were shown. There was a theater that I used to go in Burbank called the Cornell, and they would have 3 movies. You see like a triple feature for like 50 cents, and oftentimes they were like Japanese movies, like you know, Godzilla, War of the Gargantuas, or Destroy All Monsters, Monster Zero, and I just grew up on them, and I love them, and I mean, I wasn't so much of a purist. I mean, I enjoyed the dubbed versions. I mean, I'm from Burbank, so the dubbing was also part of its sort of weird poetry. It was something about that. It's not so much for the purist, but for me, that's the way I really loved them. And so, you know, I'd see like 3 Japanese, you know, monster movies in a triple feature. Obviously, the first one was Godzilla, which, you know, again, if you watch the original, it's incredible. But then I grew up on the Raymond Burr one, the American version. So for me, it's an interesting juxtaposition to see the original and then the Americanized version of that. But it's beautiful, and the score, the music, everything about it is very, very, very beautiful.
Let us call this creature Godzilla, according to the legend of Oda Island.
And then, but this one, my favorite, War of the Gargantuas. That one, I went like every day of the week to see it. And then it was on TV once, and they show it every night at 8 o'clock, and I'd watch it every night at 8 o'clock. And there's something about, you know, and Ishiro Honda, the director, who made all those kind of movies. I mean, he's probably made more movies than most, you know, he's made so many movies. But the ones really resonated with me. And even when I had my kids, I have a brown gargantua and a green gargantua. So it still affected me that greatly.
You said a very interesting thing about this film is that monsters are the most soulful characters. Is that why most of your characters have a touch of monster in them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up on monster movies, and everybody thought, well, you're weird because you like monster movies. The fact is, all monsters, from, you know, Creature from Black Lagoon, King Kong, Frankenstein, Wolfman, all of them, they have an emotional core to them. I mean, they're like fables, and that's the sense where they're you know, they're the most human characters in those movies. Most of the human characters are like the angry villagers, or, you know, the people poking at the monster and doing all sort of trying to kill it, all that sort of thing. And so that's why I never saw it that way. They're much more of the soulful heart of the piece rather than the sort of the something negative. And then these two, of course, those are beautiful. Again, it kind of reminds you why you love cinema, the cinematography, the music, the sort of pacing of it, and the sort of dreamlike quality of it is incredible. So those two are beautiful.
And I was wondering if Kuroneko inspired you for the Batman, especially the character of Catwoman.
Well, I know it is amazing. Yeah. You know, and like I said, those are the kind of that movie is very dreamlike. Yeah, and the sort of cat-like. And there's even the moment. And I didn't realize that because I saw it after the Catwoman, and I go, oh my God, you know, it almost seems like I seen it beforehand, but it was something that I saw actually afterward, which really sort of surprised me.
Maybe, I don't know, as you want, Mario Bava or Uncle
Yeah,
Bentley?
well, of course, Mario Bava, this one.
You will be dead to man, but you will be alive in death.
I remember back in LA, there was a 48-hour horror movie marathon, right? And I sat through the whole thing. And, you know, you're kind of watching the movies and then you kind of fall asleep and wake up after a certain point. And I remember this one, after 48 hours, that one stuck with me because it was like a dream. And it's like Mario Bava had that kind of quality about, again, it's a bit like those other movies, like sort of a dream-like quality. And so I remember out of that whole 48 hours, that was one that sort of stayed with me, just in terms of imagery, sort of like a dream nightmare kind of quality. And so that's why I always really love Mario Bava. He had something very special that was just, you can't quite put your finger on it, sort of a dream-like quality to his work.
I heard you wanted to do a remake back in the 90s of Black Sunday.
No.
No?
No. I think I've done my remake. But then this one, Uncle Bob, that's a special.
Ôi, men chào bố. Men,
I was on the president of the jury that year in Cannes, right? And, you know, it's very difficult for artists to discuss, you know, what the things, you know, because it's like that movie 12 Angry Men. It's like 12 angry artists. You know, it's like trying to come to some kind of, you know, thing. But the weird thing about that movie is out of all of them, and it only had one screening. It's like it was you know, because usually they had two screenings. There was one screen. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was a movie that just resonated. Out of all the movies, it was something. Again, it had a dreamlike quality. It was something about, and I think that for me, cinema is when you retain that kind of dream-like quality. And not every movie does that for you, you know. But that one. It did, and then I watched it like many years afterward. I go like, that was a strange choice, you know. Then it was on TV, like I saw it a couple of years later, and then it still hit me the same way, which I was surprised about, because you know when you're in that sort of Cannes environment, you're all kind of, your mind's all scrambled, and you don't know what you're really thinking about really, and so you kind of want to remove yourself from it and then see how you feel, but it still had that power to it.
Was it an easy pick for the rest of the jury as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, we came to a consent, I mean, which is hard, always difficult, but no, I mean, it was interesting because I think it surprised everybody, but, you know, there was a few people that thought it was an interesting choice, because a lot of times, you know, people, they go for what's pop, you know, what they think might, so I think it was a kind of a bold choice from us, and a surprising one that kind of confused a lot of people. But that's good.
I personally picked a film by Inarritu.
Yes.
That I really like, and it was obviously to talk about Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Well, you know, I love it. You know, I worked with it on Beetlejuice and Batman, and so so when I saw that, it was amazing because it was very, very sort of, I wouldn't call it autobiographical, but kind of slightly. You know, I mean, there's something about it that. So I mean, he really captured that whole kind of thing, which I thought was quite beautiful.
You know what? None of this costs you fucking anything. You risk nothing. Nothing. Well, I'm a fucking actor. This play cost me everything.
just on your right, there are two films that I wanted maybe to talk about. The influence of German expressionism.
Yeah, of course. You know, I'm from Burbank, was not known for its German expressionism. You know, that kind of suburbia. But I think that's kind of why I liked it, because, you know, I was drawn to those kind of, you know, some of the old Universal horror movies or these, because it sort of felt like my mind. I don't know why. I don't know if it's sort of a reaction against Burbank and wanting more darkness and shadows and things, and it's just more graphic in a way that somehow matched sort of the interior of my mind.
I know you pick another film by Robert Eggers that we'll talk a bit later, but have you seen this remake of Nosferatu?
Yes, yeah, no, he's very good, Robert. I mean, he does very atmospheric. Again, he's able to capture kind of a dreamlike quality in his films, which I appreciate.
And finally, I'd like to talk about The Passion of Juan of Arc, because Jenna Ortega said in an interview that actually you were talking a lot about this film during the filming of Beetlejuice. Yeah,
it's because like I said, there was something very dreamy about it to me, and it surprised me, the cat thing. It's like I said, I saw it after I'd done Batman Returns, but I was so surprised. I kind of wish I'd seen, but it was kind of good that I didn't see it, so, because, but like I said, that film. It's like why you like making movies. You know, there's a certain dream-like quality and just surprising. It still surprises me when I see it.
She said she was amazed by the performance of Rene Falconetti on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's beautiful on all levels. Again, he was so beautiful at doing the rhythm of it, the cinematography, the music, just. They all work as a one beautiful thing. This way.
Yeah, this way. On your right.
Please, which way? This way.
The other one.
This right.
Yeah. In the back.
I have two choices. These two I love, one of my favorites, because it's like I love movies that sort of tell you things like a fable, and these are like what it's like to be a young person.
Tommy, I'm your friend. I'm the only friend you've got.
And that's what I loved about them. They don't seem like, but when I first saw them, I go like, yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And you know, and so to me, they're a good companion piece, these two. And also it stars one of my favorite bad actors, Whit Bissell. You'd be in The Creature, you'd be like this cool, like kind of friendly doctor, or you could be a complete asshole. You know, I mean, I love him in these movies. He's an underrated actor, that guy. But again, those movies really spoke to me in terms of like when you talk about a fable or fairy tale, they're like fables. And then, of course, this is one of my favorites.
My eyes are deceiving me.
What you see is real. What's done is done, and what I've done is right. It's the work of science.
Because it's like the original sort of toxic relationship kind of. Again, all these things spoke to me in a certain way. I mean, I used to watch this on TV like a Saturday afternoon before they had ratings, because, you know, it's quite gory and quite, you know, sleazy and kind of, I mean, so this one was one of my early memories, because I can't believe they're showing this on TV on a Saturday afternoon. But again, it describes a certain kind of relationship which I found very beautiful and very funny, and still you know, resonant today. Yeah. And again, I grew up on the, you know, monster movies and Dracula, but I particularly like this one.
Count Dracula! Look on me, Dracula. Look on me. Remember.
It got not a very good reputation, but there was something really beautiful about going from the old Dracula, and you go up to the sky and you see an airplane and it cuts into a rock soundtrack, you know, and I don't know, this one, even though it was, you know, deemed kind of a failure, I think, but I love this one because, you know, mixing, you know, and Christopher Lee, I love very much, and he was very, I don't know, that's just one of my, that one always stuck out to me because of its juxtaposition of imagery.
Master, I did it. I summoned you. It was my will.
Do you remember your first meeting with Christopher Lee?
Yes, I do. It was at the Dorchester in at the hotel in London, and he came in, and he talked for like 2 hours, and then he left. I go like, it felt like 5 minutes. I go like, I was just hypnotized by Dracula. You know, I mean, he had that quality to him. You know what I mean? You just sit there and talk, and you just go like, Yeah, no, he was fantastic. What else? Oh, you know, I mean, I always love, you know, these stop motion, always a great thing for me. And I mean, you know, 1 million years BC or this one. This one's a bit more sleazier and funnier, this one. But, you know, dinosaurs, cave women, what could go wrong?
Is it true that there is parallel universe where Mars attack is actually dinosaur attack?
Yeah, well, there was 2 sets of cards.
Yeah.
There was a dinosaurs attack, and then it was a similar thing. It was bubblegum cards you could buy, and you know, a little pack of cards. And it was, I think it was done by the same company, but the Mars attacks were first, and then it was dinosaurs attack. But it was the same thing. It would be a card of, you know, like in Mars attacks, and you know, setting cattle on fire, or, you know, dinosaurs attacking the Capitol building. You know, it'd be same thing.
There is an important film for you, I think it's Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah.
And as I lost control, I swore I'd sell my soul for one.
It's it. What? The music to open the paradise. After all these years, I've finally found it.
You want that creep to open the paradise?
I love this movie. I mean, I love Brian De Palma. You know, I love, you know, Carrie, Scarface. I mean, I think I've always, you know, whenever I see movies, but this one I particularly like because, you know, I love Phantom of the Opera. So, but I just love his take on it and his way of doing it, and it was quite emotional and funny and weird and beautiful. And I remember seeing it. I think I saw it at the Cinerama Dome in Los Angeles. So, you know, it's just very bright, colorful, and beautiful. I love that movie. What else? Lighthouse.
For any stuff or part of Winslow, even any scantling of your soul, is Winslow no more, but is now itself the sea.
All right, have it your way. I like your cooking.
As a recent movie, you know, it kind of goes with those other films that I was talking about. I loved its dreamlike quality. I love the performances. I love the vibe of it. And again, I hadn't seen a movie in a while that sort of I kept thinking about. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you see a movie, but that one I go, I kept, you know. I watched it with my son, and we were like, oh, that movie resonates. That's, you know, it stayed with me for a long time. And, you know, it's rare for me, and it's also nice when that happens. You know, you know that it's touched something inside.
So if you want, you have, yeah,
okay,
strong stuff here.
Ciao, vecchio. Come va la vita? Stasera tocca a te muovere.
I was sort of obsessed by Charlton Heston in a weird way because, I mean, I remember when I watched the 10 Commandments, I thought, this is like one of the weirdest horror movies I've ever seen. You know, he starts out as a human being and he kind of turns into a weird religious zombie by the end, you know, and the imagery is so weird. So I was kind of obsessed by him. And then around the air, you know, Planet of the Apes and Omega Man and Soylent Green. But I love this one because he's like one of the best bad actors I've ever seen. You know, he's just got his drama, sense of drama, and him being the last man on earth. And I also love the fact that I've seen the Vincent Price version and the later one, the Will Smith one. But I love this one because I love the people. I love the cult. You know, I love, you know, because I didn't like all the CG. I like this one where, you know, they're characters, you know, Matthias and all of that. There's a really haunting, and the score I loved. I love the score of this one. I used to watch this one. I went to this every day to see it every once in a while it was playing.
Show him, my children. Show him the pretty marks.
As you were talking about Vincent Price, on your right there is a film that combines two of your passions, Vincent Price and Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, I mean, again, I love those Roger Corman, you know, he House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is where like Vincent, I love the character, you know, the oversensitive character. I mean, that's what I based Vincent on a little bit, my original little stop motion animated thing. And again, I know they shot them very quickly, and there just was a sort of an immediacy to them. And like I said, this one, Pit and the Pendulum, Mask of the Red Death, Tomb, you know, all those kind of movies I loved.
The tarn is very deep. One of the usher women drowned herself in it. She was never found. I dare say it's deep enough to swallow this house entire.
Actually, to be honest, Vincent was one of the first work I saw and discover you. I was wondering if at that time, how difficult was it to develop a short film?
Luckily, Disney was at a point where they were very directionless and they didn't have, you know, and I was a bad animator then. And so they took me out of doing Fox and the Hound and let me sort of just draw and design things for other projects. And so there was a project they were going to do stop motion. So they just slipped in a little bit of money to me to just kind of experiment, which would not happen earlier or not happen later. So I felt at a very interesting time at that company where I got to do something that I would never have gotten a chance to do. So it was very under the radar. It was all in the terms of just, experimentation, because it didn't cost much. So they allowed me to kind of do it, which was amazing.
While Vincent backed slowly against the wall, the room started to sway, to shiver and creak. His horrid insanity had reached its peak.
On your right, I pick a movie, I don't know if this is the right one, I pick X by Ty West to talk about Jenna Ortega, but I was wondering how you discovered her.
Dad, we need to find the keys to that truck. I never should have listened to you. This is all your fault. Rain, we need to stick together. I hate you.
I didn't see it, but I did talk to her, I think when she was making it. And, you know, I love Jenna because I didn't know her. I mean, when I met her, I mean, we cast the whole thing on Wednesday through Zoom because it was COVID. So I just talked to her and met her through that. But the thing I liked about Jenna was, you know, I'd heard she'd been like a little Disney kid actress, right? And then all of a sudden she goes from there to horror movies. I go like, okay, I like her already. You know what I mean? So that was a good thing, you know. And then I seemed kind of obsessed by horror movies. And I go, so that was a connection. You know what I mean? And so, you know, then the fact is that she is the perfect Wednesday. And that, you know, I think it's part of, you know, you can't ask somebody to be Wednesday. She's got to kind of just be it. And, you know, Jenna has that. And I think her background in Disney and horror movies probably helped her.
Pugsley, if you're soft and weak, you'll never survive without me. I give you 2 months, tops. I'm gonna miss you too, sis.
What else? I also pick, I think, a masterpiece by David Cronenberg.
Oh, of course.
That I heard you almost directed.
Well, no. no, I think... I was going to do, I think somebody asked me about Fly 2, but I think my idea was too strange for it. But no, I love David Cronenberg. I mean, he's done some amazing movies. I mean, the first one I saw was the one, what's the one, the Shivers, or It Came From Within.
But it's strange. Just look on this. Oh, you're a thief. Oh. You can't let this.
You know, I remember seeing that at the Cornell Theater too, and so from that point on, yeah, he's a great one.
So on your right,
yeah,
I picked two actually modern superhero movies because I wanted to ask you if you are still watching modern superhero movie or not.
Not really.
Okay.
No, I think I lost interest maybe after Batman Returns. You know, I mean, I felt very happy doing Batman because it felt new to me at the time. You know, it was not really something that had been done. So it was quite exciting to be involved with that and kind of feel like it was new territory. But then after Batman Returns, and then they didn't want me to do another one and this and that, I think I sort of lost interest in the whole sort of genre, really. I mean, so I've seen a few, but I don't really know.
Do you know that you have a funny common point with Matt Reeves, actually? You are the two only directors who directed both a Batman movie and a Planet of the Apes movie.
Wow, well, gee, we have something in common. That's funny. I didn't know that, little known fact.
Hey, there you are. Oh, what? Was the Homo sapien mean to you again, huh? We all know it's just rocket envy, don't we?
I pick, obviously, one Addams Family movie, but I don't know if it's this one that you like.
I never even really saw them. I mean, I've worked with Christina Ricci, you know, and I love her, and I know she was a great Wednesday, and I've seen it, but, you know, I was never really a big, I mean, I like Charles Addams' drawings, you know, I grew up looking at those, and I loved it, but I also was a child during Addams Family, but I was probably more of a Munsters kid, but whatever, and then blah, blah, blah. I didn't really, but the thing that got me interested in this was the character of Wednesday, and so that's really, you know, I love the idea of the Addams Family, but I was never really a giant fan, I would say. But the character of Wednesday, and also then kind of trying to bring the family into a little bit more of a kind of reality, kind of slight half reality. I mean, it's not really real, but a little bit more reality was something that really intrigued me.
Where's your costume?
This is my costume. I'm a homicidal maniac. They look just like everyone else.
I don't know if you know this.
This one?
Yeah.
No.
I saw in an interview that you were really in love with Indian cinema.
Oh, yeah,
especially Bollywood.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't remember the name of it, but I went to India many years ago and went to one of their cinemas, which are huge, beautiful. And I did love, you know, their 3-hour musicals. I just love the vibe of them, yeah.
Okay, I think we can go to the last section, which is animated.
Okay, this was the first movie I ever remember really seeing and had a great impact on me. And I can remember exactly where it was. You know, it was at the Catalina Island off of Los Angeles. This is incredible theater, casino, and it's like it's funny, off the coast of Los Angeles, we've got a kind of a Mediterranean feel to it, and this amazing theater. In Avalon, this town, it looks like you're inside of a seashell. And I would go in, I was a child, and I saw this movie, and I tell you, it's like that's where I fell in love with stop motion animation. And it's like I couldn't believe what I was watching, you know. And so from that moment on, I was a complete Ray Harryhausen fan, like a lot of people. And it was something that, you know, got me interested in animation, kept my interest in it for all this time, and you know, I was lucky enough to meet him, and he was such an amazing artist and man, you know, so I felt very blessed that I was able to kind of finally meet a hero of mine, you know, like I was with Vincent Price. That was and Christopher Lee, you know, and Michael Goff, you know, I've been lucky to meet certain people that have inspired me, and then the amazing thing about that is they all turned out to be sort of amazing people, you know. That was a big deal, you know, because sometimes they would say, be careful meeting your heroes or who you like, because like you could turn out to be complete assholes, but you never know. So it was very nice to see and meet all these people. But that movie, I still remember it, that feeling of like, wow, you know. And so that was a very strong one for me.
Nowadays that we have a lot of different style of animation. In your point of view, what makes stop motion so special?
Well, I mean, I remember when I was my art teacher in high school told me, I forgot about it, like in one of my little things, I did a stop motion thing where I made a brain with some pipe cleaner legs and fighting a pair of pliers. You know, there's something about just the tactile nature of it, and you're moving it one frame of a time and seeing. I mean, I did that with drawn animation, but there's something about some physical thing that you're dealing with, and you move it frame at a time, and then you see it come to life. It's quite viscerally, emotionally, artistically strong. So that's why it became, for me, a favorite thing. And that's what amazing when you see like Ray Harryhausen's puppets, like the Talos, the giant from Jason and the Argonauts, right? The giant bronze statue. I saw the original size is like that. It's like, it was incredible how, you know, what he achieved with something, you know, seemingly so crude.
And we also pick a film that we all really love, Coraline by Henri Selick.
You probably think this world is a dream come true, but you're wrong. The other Wybie told me so.
A guy you work with.
Yes.
And strange, I don't know why, but a lot of people
they think I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Well, I think I know why. It was sort of a marketing campaign from that point of view. So yeah, I know. But I mean, Henry he's an amazing talent. So you know, I mean, but I don't. That one you have to answer. I don't know. I didn't do it.
And even the film you produced with him, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach. So what did you find in him that
Well, I mean, I worked with him at Disney for a while. And he went to Cal Arts like me. And Henry was more of an experimental animator. And when I did Nightmare, I mean, I tried to get that going for 10 years. I had that project for 10 years before it got done. And the reason it got done is that I had some success. But they kept saying, oh, do it as a this, do it as a drawing. I go, no, I want to do it as a stop motion thing. So it took me 10 years. And so I knew Henry was experimenting with that. And there was a small group of people that were, but it wasn't a done thing. I mean, the only people doing stop motion were like maybe Aardman, which is more claymation and things. So nobody was really doing it at that time. So I knew Henry and I knew about this group of people. So it took a long, like I said, over 10 years to put that together.
And finally, I picked the 2 Disney movies that you remake in live action.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, everybody. You know.
No.
This is funny because, you know, like when I did Alice, right? It was like, okay, it was kind of a new thing, Disney doing all the blah, 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 blah. That was the most chaotic movie I ever made because I didn't do any one technique. I didn't do motion capture. I didn't do that. I mixed up in fact, we never, you know, in modern Hollywood, you test a movie before you release it, right? They couldn't test this because there was nothing there until the very end. It was like a weird puzzle because this person's eyes were bigger, that person's complete animation, that's half motion capture, that's half the... I mean, it was truly... I mean, like, a few months before, if you saw this movie before it came out, there was no movie there at all. It sort of materialized at the very end. So it was the most chaotic, haphazard movie, and will never be... No movie would ever be made like that again, I can guarantee you.
I need a pig here.
But I was wondering what, in the first place, attracted you to these 2 special stories?
Well, I mean, I like Dumbo because he's a bit of an outside, you know, and also, I think by that point, I kind of felt like Dumbo, like, you know, a weird creature trapped at Disney, you know what I mean? Which wasn't a good thing, but, you know, it's kind of cathartic, but maybe not in the best possible way. But, you know, because I've had such a funny relationship with Disney my whole career. I mean, even when I was an animator, and then, you know, I spent a year designing things that never happened, and then I did 2 short films that never were shown, and then I left, and then I went back. You know, I felt like I was hired and fired like many different times in my life. And so I think finally, after Dumbo, I go like, you know what? You know, I love you. We're like a dysfunctional family, so it was time for me to leave.
Let's pretend the shop was on fire. I'd like to know the 3 films you would save.
Well, I can't do that. I can't. I could. That's like, which child are you going to save? No. Sorry, you got to get an answer from me. I can't do that. In fact, you know, when you say what's your favorite movie, right? I can't ever say. It's like my mind. I don't know if we do this. Maybe a lot of people can do that. I can't do it. I can't say what's my favorite song, movie, anything. I have a few. It depends on my mood and everything. But you know, there's so many. I don't know. I'd have to probably go down with the shop.
I think that's the perfect answer. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you.
Konbini!